Hey y'all, welcome to Cat Reads. This being my first vlog, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit first. I'm Cat, obviously. Um, when I was a kid, I struggled a lot with reading and spelling. So much so that I graduated high school without reading a single one of the required readings, cover to cover. I'd always start them and then fall behind and try to skip ahead to keep with the class and get confused about what was going on and get frustrated and then just stop. A couple years after high school, I was tested for dyslexia and had an answer. I'm dyslexic and I struggle with reading. It's out of my control. I'm not lazy or stupid. I just don't compute words and sounds the way everybody else does. I struggle with decoding, and it explained a lot, and it helped me jump that hurdle. And as an adult, I love to read. I read all the time. I read on the bus, at the bus stop. I read at the grocery store. I read while walking the dog. I read while skateboarding. I read in the line at the coffee shop. And I've really grown as a reader. I read a lot faster than I did. And a few years ago, decided I wanted to see how many books I was reading. And so I kept a list of all the books that I read, and it turned out that year I read 50 books. And if you'd asked my 12-year-old self how many books I read, they'd have said 2. Like 50 is way more than I ever thought that I'd be able to read in a year. But enough about me. Let's get to my book. It is an amazing little book, in my opinion, by one of my favorite authors, Cornelia Funke. I absolutely love this author, by the way. This book is The Glass of Lead and Gold, and it takes place in the town of Londra, which is the mirror world version of London. So it is a story in her mirror world, and the story follows a teenage girl, orphan, who dresses and passes as a boy to make life easier. In this time period, women were still not given as many rights, and therefore it was just easier for her to act as a boy. She had a lot more access to places to sell her wares, and it's mentioned that dressing as a boy keeps the attention of men away. And I can really relate to that too. So, this orphan girl, like many other orphan children, they comb the riverbank, the muddy riverbank, for whatever they can find. Shards of glass, broken pottery, pieces of rope, fabrics, and the very rare but occasional piece of jewelry. Well, Christmas Eve night, Tabitha, also known as Ted, is leaving the riverbank and is approached by this strange man. He's dressed in nicer clothing, especially expensive boots. And that seems very odd to her. She can't quite place why it's odd, because he doesn't seem to be a very rich man, but he has very expensive boots. Anyway, he stops her and hands her a newspaper clipping of this glass and tells her that if she finds even a shard of it in the river, that he will pay her 2 shillings for it, and tells her where he can be found if she finds a shard, and he leaves. She makes her way to the soup kitchen and has some soup and eats it really slowly, and as the night dwindles on, the lady behind the counter, her family owns the place, she and Tabitha get into a conversation, and Ophelia sees right through Ted and sees Tabitha for Tabitha. And they have a really good conversation, and Tabitha shows Ophelia the newspaper clipping and tells her about the man. And through this conversation, Ophelia realizes that Tabitha has a shard of this glass. So they come up with a plan to take the shard of glass to her glass blower, where she gets, her dishes mended, basically. And they take it to the glass blower. And the next morning on Christmas, Ophelia's not there when Tabitha awakens, and Tabitha assumes the worst. Her mom told her, one of the last things her mom taught her before she passed was never trust anyone. And so Tabitha is assuming the worst, and when Ophelia finally arrives, there seems to be something off. She doesn't seem the same happy-go-lucky that she did the night before. And once again, Tabitha assumes that means that she's betrayed her. And so they get into a little fight, and Tabitha leaves. I don't want to ruin the rest of the story, so I'm gonna kind of gloss over a little. There is actual betrayal that happens, and Tabitha, in the end, gets what she needed for Christmas that year, and the book ends with her having a family and a place to live. I really enjoy this story. It's really short and sweet. I literally read it in one day. And it's a lovely little book. Some people complain that it's not very Christmassy, but it's not very Christmassy compared to other Christmas tales, which, if you really think about it, are very exaggerated versions of Christmas. To me, this feels more real. It feels like a real person's Christmas. There's struggle, there's hardship, there's betrayal, there's regret for having assumed the worst, and it ends happily. So I absolutely recommend this book by Cornelia Funke. Amazing book.